Wow, it's official. In a move that has absolutely stunned the college basketball world, the University of North Carolina has fired head coach Hubert Davis, one of their own. This is just a shocking end to what was a truly wild ride, and we're going to break down exactly how it all fell apart. So, right off the bat, let's just be crystal clear about something. This was not some mutual parting of ways. Nope. Hubert Davis himself went on Instagram and laid it all out there in 3 simple, powerful words. I was let go. There's no ambiguity, no PR spin. He wanted to stay, but the university, well, they'd already made up their mind. And get this was not a cheap decision. UNC is on the hook for the rest of his contract to the tune of $5.3 million. Think about that. When a university is willing to write a check that big, you know they were desperate for a change. So what on earth could push them to that point? Well, it really all comes down to one single disastrous game in the NCAA tournament. Okay, so picture the scene. It's March Madness, and North Carolina, they're just cruising. They are up by 19 points against an 11 seed. For a powerhouse like UNC, this game should be in the bag, right? It felt comfortable, it felt safe, but it wasn't. What happened next was, well, a meltdown of historic proportions. VCU staged the biggest tournament comeback we've seen in years, storming all the way back to force overtime, and then they won it, 82-78. The shock was just, you could feel it through the screen. And if that wasn't bad enough, his response in the press conference basically poured gasoline on the fire. A reporter asked a totally fair question about his player rotations during the meltdown, and Davis just shot back with this incredibly curt, dismissive answer, because that was my decision. That's it. End of story. The damage was done. And that one loss, combined with that one answer, that was pretty much all it took. The backlash from fans and some really powerful donors was immediate and intense. You have to remember, this was their second straight first-round exit. Emergency meetings were called, Davis presented his plan to fix things, but it just wasn't enough. The decision was made. But, to be fair, this wasn't really just about one game. Hubert Davis's entire tenure was a 5-year roller coaster of some absolutely breathtaking highs and some truly baffling lows. I mean, the highs were incredible. Taking the team all the way to the national championship game, beating your arch-rival Duke in Coach K's final game ever, being named ACC Coach of the Year. But then the lows. Oh man, the lows were historically bad. I'm talking about being the first preseason #1 team to ever miss the tournament entirely. Those back-to-back flameouts in the first round. The whiplash from season to season was just too much to ignore. And when you lay it out like this, the pattern is just, it's impossible to miss. You've got this incredible peak in 2022, followed by a deep, deep valley in 2023, then a promising rise in 2024, followed by the final crash in 2026. This wasn't just one bad season, it was a cycle of volatility that a blue blood program like UNC simply cannot handle. And look, on the surface, the numbers look pretty good, right? A nearly 70% winning record, a Final Four appearance. But for UNC, the real story isn't in those stats. It's in the maddening inconsistency that hid behind them. And at the end of the day, that's what cost him his job. This firing isn't just about one coach or one season. It really forces a fundamental question about the very identity of North Carolina basketball, something they call the Carolina Way. So for anyone who might not know, the Carolina Way has always meant promoting from within. Keeping the leadership inside this tight-knit family of former players and assistants who really live the culture set by the legend Dean Smith. I mean, just look at this lineage. After Dean Smith, it was his longtime assistant, Bill Guthridge. Then you have a whole line of UNC alums, Matt Doherty, Roy Williams, and of course, Hubert Davis. This tradition, it's like the bedrock of the entire program's identity. But this quote from the athletic director, this might be the biggest tell of all. Listen really closely to the key word here, consistently. He says they must compete more consistently at an elite level. That single word suggests that from now on, results, consistent results, might finally matter more than tradition. So with the Hubert Davis era officially over, the biggest question in college basketball is, what comes next for this legendary program? And make no mistake, the job that's now open is one of the biggest in all of sports. The pressure, the expectations, the sheer weight of all that history, it's absolutely immense. The search for the next person to fill that seat is going to define the future of Carolina basketball. And it really all boils down to this one monumental question. To get that consistent elite-level performance the AD is demanding, will North Carolina finally be forced to break with decades of tradition? Will they have to look outside the Carolina family for a leader for the very first time since the year 2000? That is the decision that will shape everything for this legendary program.